Hi guys, David O'Sullivan here, and in this video I'm going to be ranking and reviewing all 9 films nominated for Best Picture at the Oscars. Now I've actually reviewed all but one of these films, so if you want to know more of my in-depth thoughts on any one of the films I'm talking about in this video, then I'll put links down below. I've reviewed all of them except for one of them, so if you want to see my reviews then you can click the links. I've got my reviews for all of these films, at least 8 of them anyway, up on my channel right now. But let's get straight into this, and coming in at number 9 I have The Post. Now if you'll see my review, you know that I really like The Post. I thought it was a really good film. I don't think it's on that same level as a lot of the other films on this list. I think the other movies are much better films, but I do think The Post was really good. I think it was really well directed by Steven Spielberg. Obviously anything he directs is great. My favourite director of all time. I think he did a great job with this movie. I don't think it's one of his best films in recent years. I don't think it's as good as some of the other movies on this list, but it was a fantastically well-directed, well-acted film. It was interesting and engaging. It wasn't quite as thrilling or dynamic as I think it could have been. It's touted as a kind of political thriller, but it's more a drama really. It's not as thrilling as I think I would have liked. But I think it was a really well told story that was really well directed and really well acted across the board. So there we go, The Post at number 9. And coming in at number 8 I have Darkest Hour, another true story film about Winston Churchill's early days as Prime Minister, facing this very dark time for Great Britain where we're going to war and the politicians are facing whether we should actually negotiate with Hitler. And this film I thought was really great. I don't think the film was as good as Gary Oldman's performance, but I still think it was a really good movie, and obviously elevated by the performances, namely Gary Oldman. I think Gary Oldman's probably a lock at this point for Best Actor at the Oscars. I'll be shocked if he doesn't win. I mean, I'll be delighted if it goes to Timothée Chalamet or one of the other guys there, but I think it's probably Gary Oldman's award at this point. He's been winning everything across the board, and it is a terrific performance. It really is a transformative performance from him. Once again, he really becomes Winston Churchill, and yeah, maybe if it wasn't for Gary Oldman and his performance, the film wouldn't be as good, but the movie really is all about Winston Churchill. It is a character piece. It's all about Gary Oldman and his performance as Winston Churchill, and because that was so great, I think it made the film even better than it probably would have been. So there we go, Darkest Hour at number 8. Coming in at number 7, it's Christopher Nolan's Dunkirk, and pretty much from here up now, I think all these films are amazing. It's hard to kind of rank these movies because I think they're all so great. It's kind of a personal preference really, and which ones were my favourites. But Dunkirk I think was really great. I don't think it's one of Christopher Nolan's best films, although I might put it in my top 5 favourite Christopher Nolan films. I'm not sure yet, but it was a really great movie, and then when I watched it again on Blu-ray, I think I liked it even more. It's a very kind of immersive and very engaging film, a movie that really throws you into the situation. It's not about the characters or the arcs of any one individual character. It's about putting you in that situation so that you can really experience what it would have been like for the people at that time in that event. It's a very experiential survival thriller is the way I describe it. It's less of a traditional period piece kind of war movie and more of just this survival thriller where we're thrown into this horrific situation and we're seeing it from the point of view of the people there on the ground, either on the land, in the sea, and the air. And I think it's a really great movie. I don't think it's one of Christopher Nolan's best films. It's not one of my favourite of his, but it was technically a fantastic piece of cinema, and I'm not surprised that it's got nominated for a lot of awards. I don't know if it's got a shot of winning any major awards, but I think it will win some technical awards, including sound, for example. So there we go, Dunkirk at number 7. Coming in at number 6 is the film that I saw most recently, and it's Lady Bird. And I was so pleasantly surprised by Lady Bird because not only was it a really great film, but it was so refreshingly small and personal. It's not trying to be some big theatrical cinematic experience like Dunkirk, for example. It's a very small little personal indie film from writer-director Greta Gerwig. The performances across the board are amazing, headlined of course by Saoirse Ronan. I think she's absolutely fantastic. Just a real breath of fresh air, a real just delightful, funny, quirky, relatable coming of age comedy drama that, okay, we've seen a lot of movies like this before, but this movie just felt so refreshing because it was so relatable and it was so charming and endearing, and it's a film that I think it's really hard not to like. You know, I really don't understand how anyone could intensely dislike this movie. I really enjoyed it. I had a great time with Lady Bird. So there we go, Lady Bird at number 6. Coming in at number 5 is Get Out, and I was a little bit late to the party with this one because I didn't think it was going to be my kind of film. Horror films are my least favourite genre. I didn't think it was going to be the kind of film that I would like, that I would gravitate towards, but oh my god, I was so wrong. Just go ahead, call me idiot, call me stupid. I don't know why it took me so long to get around to seeing this movie. As soon as it started getting nominated for a lot of awards and getting a lot of buzz, I was like, I've just got to check this movie out. And I've got to admit, before I saw it, I was thinking, really? Is it really that good? Are people just overhyping this movie? But I eventually got around to seeing it, and yeah, I mean, I would nominate it for Best Director, Best Screenplay, Best Actor, Best Film. It was that good. This film really blew me away. Just a really fantastically well-written movie as well from Jordan Peele. His directorial debut, like Greta Gerwig, and for a directorial debut, it was absolutely fantastic. He didn't play it safe at all. It was a very bold, daring, kind of ambitious, audacious film, and he just really pulled it off. He didn't hold back at all, and it just really blew me away, this movie. I didn't really know what to expect, and that's kind of why I was a bit trepidatious about seeing it, because I didn't really know what it was, or it just looked a little weird. I didn't know if it was going to be my kind of movie, but the more I heard about it, the more I thought I just had to check this film out, and I'm so glad I did. It's so great. I think it's probably got the best chance of winning Best Original Screenplay. It really was a fantastically written film. I don't think it's got a shot of winning Best Director or Best Film. Maybe it's got an outside chance of snagging Best Picture there, but I think the best chance this movie has is winning Best Original Screenplay. It was such a fantastically written film, and it was written in such a way where you don't realise what it's doing until after it's done it, and then you realise, oh my god, that was so well done. Like, you don't know where it's going to go, you don't see anything coming, it's just so unpredictable, and then when it happens, you realise what the movie was doing. It was just such a cleverly written film, really well directed, fantastically acted. Daniel Kaluuya, he's just amazing. I've been a big fan of his even before this movie came out, and he finally got the chance to show how great of an actor he really is with this film, and I could not be happy with the recognition this movie's gotten. I don't think it's got a chance of winning any major awards, but I wouldn't be surprised if it nabs Best Screenplay. Now, coming in at number 4, it's Call Me By Your Name, and this is another film that really took me by surprise. I knew it was going to be good. Technically speaking, I knew it was going to be a great film. I just didn't think it was going to be the kind of film that I would really like and that I would fall in love with, but again, like we get out, I was completely wrong with this movie. I adored this film. I just fell in love with it, and it's one of those films where the more that I think about it, the more that I like it. I haven't been able to stop thinking about it since I saw it, and again, it was another one that was very late to the party on, but I was such an idiot for not seeing this movie when I had the chance 4 months ago. It was a great film, another one that's really kind of driven by these kind of performances from the actors, with Timothée Chalamet and Armie Hammer there, also Michael Stuhlbarg. Really well acted. It's a very kind of simple film story-wise, but it's really kind of beautiful and elegant in its simplicity. It's an incredibly immersive film. You're just drawn in, immersed and engaged, and it's just such a beautifully directed movie as well. I think Luca Guadagnino did an incredible job with this movie from a directorial standpoint. It's also beautifully shot. It just looks gorgeous. You just can fall in love with this movie from just a visual standpoint alone, and yeah, I thought this was a great film. I don't know if it's got a chance of winning any major awards. Maybe Best Adapted Screenplay. It won that at the BAFTAs. I would love for it to nab some awards there. I think it's got an outside shot, like with Get Out and Lady Bird, of maybe sneaking in there and taking Best Picture by surprise. Who knows? I really don't know which way it's going to go this year. But regardless, I adored this movie. I thought it was beautiful. Just an incredible film all round. So there we go. Call Me By Your Name at number 4. And number 3, I've got 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. If you've seen my Best Films of 2017 video, you know that I really love this film. It got a lot of love from the BAFTAs as well, and I would not be surprised if it goes on to get a lot of awards at the Oscars too. I don't know if it's as well loved in the US as it is in the UK, which is kind of weird because it's based in America. It's set in America with American characters, although it is a kind of British production and a British writer and director. So yeah, I'm not sure if it's going to get as much love in the US, but if the BAFTAs is any indication, it's probably going to do very well at the Oscars, and I will not be upset if it does, because I love this film. Again, another fantastically written film. I actually think it's probably better from a writing and acting standpoint than it is from a directing standpoint. I think Martin McDonagh did a great job with this movie, don't get me wrong, but I think the writing was really great and the acting really brought those words to life, and I think it's got the best chance of winning screenplay. I also think Frances McDormand and Sam Rockwell are a lock for actress and supporting actor. Maybe there'll be a shock and they won't win, but at this point I'll be very surprised if they don't go on to win the Oscars. Yeah, it really was my kind of film. It is quite dark in terms of the subject matter it's dealing with, but it's also very funny as well, and it just works so well together. All these different tones are meshed so perfectly together. It doesn't feel like a big mishmash at all. It's funny, it's also sad, it's also, dramatic. It's just all these different things. It evokes all these different emotions from you all at the same time, and it was just a remarkable film. So there we go, 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. And number 2 is Phantom Thread. I didn't get the chance to see this one until February. It didn't come out until early February here in the UK, but it was one of my favourite films from 2017. I think this was an amazing movie. Another one that I didn't think I was going to love as much as I did. I was like, I'm probably going to like this movie, but I don't know if I'm going to love it. But oh my god, I just adored this film. It was really my kind of movie. It was really kind of throwback to the kind of classic films from the 40s and 50s. It very much felt like a classic Hitchcockian type of movie, like Rebecca, for example. And it's like this kind of dark, weird, twisted romance. My kind of love story. And again, the performances, Daniel Day-Lewis in quite possibly his final role as Reynolds Woodcock, and also Vicky Krieps as Alma and Leslie Manville as Cyril were both fantastic as well. And it really was an amazing film all round. Every aspect was just flawless. Directing, acting, cinematography, set design, costumes. It was just a meticulously designed film from top to bottom. An absolute joy to watch. Also a really great score as well. I wouldn't be surprised if this sneaks in and gets Best Original Score. I think the music was incredible and really quite powerful and overwhelming and almost a leading character in its own right. And yeah, I just really love this movie. Like I said, if you want to know any more of my in-depth thoughts on any one of these films, got my links to my reviews in the description down below. But there we go, Phantom Thread at number 2. And finally, coming in at number 1, my favourite film nominated for Best Picture at the Oscars. Blade Runner would probably be up here, but it wasn't nominated. I would probably nominate Blade Runner and Hostiles. If it was up to me, I would have put Blade Runner and Hostiles in and taken The Post and Darkest Hour out. But anyway, coming in at number 1 is The Shape of Water. And I absolutely love this movie. I adore this film. I've seen it 3 times now. I saw it twice before it was even released here in the UK. I loved it so much. I saw it back at London Film Festival, and then I saw it again at an early preview. And then I saw it again for a 3rd time once it was released with my mum and sister. And I adore this film. Guillermo del Toro, one of my favourite directors. I'm really hoping this wins him his first Oscar for Best Director, because he's really deserving. All of his years working in the film industry, directing movies, has led him to this point. It's really his pièce de résistance. Pan's Labyrinth is still my favourite film of his, but I would not disagree with that. This is his best. It's an amazing film. I absolutely fell in love with this movie. Just a beautiful, harmonious symphony between visuals and music and performances. And it's the same with all of Del Toro's movies. When you're watching them, it's just like watching a piece of movie magic. Del Toro is just such a wizard, and he just makes his movies before your very eyes, and you just can't believe how he did it, and you just fall in love with it. You're swept away. It reminds you why you love cinema. It reminds you of the magic of cinema and the power of movies. This is by far my favourite film nominated for Best Picture. I'm really hoping it wins the Oscar for Best Picture. If I had to put a bet on which one I think will win it, I would say The Shape of Water. But really this year, it's kind of really difficult to decide. I really honestly don't know which way it's going to go. I'd say it's probably between 3 Billboards and Shape of Water, but it could go to something else completely different. Dunkirk might nab it. It might go to Get Out or Lady Bird. Maybe Call My Name. I think it's between those ones. If it's up to me, then my choice would be The Shape of Water. That was my favourite film nominated for Best Picture, and I'm really hoping it wins the Oscar as well. So there we go. At number 1, it's The Shape of Water. And there we have it. That wraps up my quick rundown and recap of all of the 9 films nominated for Best Picture at the Oscars. What were some of your favourite films that were nominated? Do you think they're all well deserving of a nomination? What are your favourites? Which film do you think will win Best Picture at the Oscars? Let me know in the comments down below. And as always, if you like this and you haven't already, be sure to click subscribe to see more. If you missed my last review, be sure to go and click over here to catch up on my last review, or perhaps down here to catch up on one of my recent videos. But with that said, I've been David O'Sullivan. I'll see you next time.